In Plato's dialogue Meno, Socrates challenges the title character to define virtue. The conversation gets Meno so turned around that he makes this statement. Socrates, even before I met you, they told me that in plain truth you are a perplexed man yourself and reduce others to perplexity. At this moment, I feel you are exercising magic and witchcraft upon me and positively laying me under your spell until I am just a mass of helplessness. If I may be flippant, I think that not only in outward appearance, but in other respects as well, you are exactly like the flat stingray that one meets in the sea. Whenever anyone comes into contact with it, it numbs him. And that is the sort of thing you seem to be doing to me now. My mind and my lips are literally numb, and I have nothing to reply to you. Yet I have spoken about virtue hundreds of times, held forth often on the subject in front of large audiences, and very well too, or so I thought. Now I can't even say what it is. What does it mean to say that he has been numbed, like one who has been stung by a stingray? Is this just a colorful way of talking, a fun passage that Plato added for the entertainment of his readers? Or is there something more significant going on here? Well, stick around because this is the issue I want to tackle in this video. Socrates is perhaps most famous for his style of questioning people. His Socratic method consists of nailing people down on definitions, challenging them to define what something is and how it functions. This style is on full display here in the dialogue Meno. Meno is not able to give the kind of answer that Socrates is looking for. He names virtuous things rather than defining virtue itself. Then he names a number of virtues but does not pinpoint the commonality that ties them all together under the banner virtue. Socrates corners him on this and tries to nail down a more precise answer. He does this multiple times. This puts us back where we were. In a different way, we have discovered a number of virtues when we were looking for one only. This single virtue, which permeates each of them, we cannot find. Each attempt Meno makes to define virtue falls apart, leading Socrates to implore, "Then go back to the beginning and answer my question. What do you and your friends say that virtue is?" It was this question, after multiple failed attempts, that prompted Meno to make his statement comparing Socrates to a stingray. Now, many would agree that this is the effect that Socrates' method of questioning has on a number of people. I would take it even further and suggest that this is in fact the effect that Socrates is aiming for. It's not just a de facto result. Socrates needs to bring Meno to see that he knows only what he knows and nothing more. Perhaps the best explanation that Plato presented of this methodology is in his dialogue, The Sophist. Here, the title character is not Socrates, but a visitor from Alea, and this visitor explains. They cross-examine a man's words when he thinks that he is saying something and is really saying nothing, and easily convict him of inconsistencies in his opinions. These they then collect by the dialectic process, and placing them side by side, show that they contradict one another about the same things, in relation to the same things, and in the same respect. He, seeing this, is angry with himself, and grows gentle toward others, and thus is entirely delivered from great prejudices and harsh notions, in a way which is most amusing to the hearer, and it produces the most lasting good effect on the person who is the subject of the operation. For as the physician considers that the body will receive no benefit from taking food until the internal obstacles have been removed, so the purifier of the soul is conscious that his patient will receive no benefit from the application of knowledge until he is refuted, and from refutation learns modesty. He must be purged of his prejudices first and made to think that he knows only what he knows and no more. This function as the purifier of the soul is one that Socrates plays as well. His intention is not to embarrass people or to shame them in public. No, I would argue that he has a more noble goal in mind. A person who thinks they know is not curious to learn. Nobody tries to learn what they think they already know. It is only by clearing a person of such a false belief that they are now open. Meno's statement comparing Socrates to a stingray is pointing to just this state of mind. However, it is clear from what follows that Meno does not truly recognize his own ignorance. In describing Socrates as similar to a stingray, he says, "Whenever anyone comes into contact with it, it numbs him. And that is the sort of thing you seem to be doing to me now." He is only flattering Socrates. This is made clear by the fact that Meno never becomes more open or more modest. Plato gave us a contrast, though, in the character of a young boy who works for Meno. Socrates takes the boy through a demonstration of how to double the size of a square. The boy starts off thinking that he knows the answer, but when it turns out to be wrong, he exclaims, "It's no use, Socrates. I just don't know." Socrates then turns to Meno and explains the significance of this change in the boy. "Observe, Meno, the stage he has reached on the path of recollection. At the beginning, he did not know the side of a square of 8 feet, nor indeed does he know it now. But then he thought he knew it and answered boldly, as was appropriate. He felt no perplexity. Now, however, he does feel perplexed. Not only does he not know the answer, he doesn't even think he knows." Quite true. Isn't he in a better position now in relation to what he didn't know? I admit that too. So in perplexing him and numbing him like the stingray, have we done him any harm? I think not. In fact, we have helped him to some extent toward finding out the right answer. For now, not only is he ignorant of it, but he will be quite glad to look for it. Up to now, he thought he could speak well and fluently on many occasions and before large audiences on the subject of a square double the size of a given square, maintaining that it must have a side of double the length. Well, notice how Socrates cleverly slipped in some of Meno's own language. Meno, too, mentioned having spoken about virtue on many occasions and before large audiences. The difference, of course, is that the boy truly has been numbed and is now curious to learn how to calculate a square double in size. Socrates questions him further to bring out his inherent right opinions so as to solve the problem. Do you suppose then that he would have attempted to look for or learn what he thought he knew, though he did not, before he was thrown into perplexity, became aware of his ignorance, and felt a desire to know? No. then the numbing process was good for him? I agree. Despite agreeing, though, it is not at all clear that Meno ever allowed himself to truly get stung. He let Socrates lead him through a discussion, but without ever concluding about what virtue is. Plato, however, is demonstrating virtue through the very state of mind he is pointing to in this dialogue. It takes temperance and courage to put preconceived notions aside in pursuit of wisdom. And a soul with a desire for wisdom that is so strong as to be its single focus is one that is aligned most justly. This is the state of mind of Socrates, and to a lesser extent, the young boy. The challenge for us as well is to summon the same degree of courage and the same love of wisdom. Well, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on Plato's Meno. And as always, I thank you for watching. Till next time.